All right, let's take a quick look at the markets. Local stocks mixed at this hour. The JSE All Share Index slipping 0.4% to 72,689 index points. The Resources Index down 1% to 70,127 points. And the Financial Index jumping 1.8% to 15,431. On the currency markets, the Rand is trading at 17.27 against the US dollar, 21.05 to the pound and 18.33 to the euro. Well, to discuss the market's reaction to the latest on the ANC leadership, I'm joined by Gary Boyson. He's a portfolio manager at Rand Swiss. A very good afternoon, Gary. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana talking about a continuity in economic policy. How has the local market reacted to the latest news of the new ANC leadership with President Ramaphosa being re-elected, and how in particular has the Rand fared?
As you mentioned at the top of the show, we've got the overall index actually negative, but a lot of that negativity, I think, coming from just the strength of the currency. So much of our market made up by offshore counters. So when you get a big strengthening in the local currency, that obviously puts those indices on the back foot. As you mentioned, the financial index up strongly. So showing a vote of confidence for almost the local counters, so the likes of the banks. So we've got Standard Bank, ABS. Nedbank and FirstRand all up well over 2% at the moment. So the banking stocks definitely liking the result. As I said, the kind of Rand hedge counters, the resource stocks a little bit on the back foot, the resource index down 1%. But as you mentioned, it's all about the local currency. So we moved from around 17.68 to the US dollar before the announcement, all the way down to 17.25. So a massive strengthening, which is obviously very positive. It's saying that a market-friendly candidate has been elected, and hopefully we'll see a little bit of that risk premium coming out of South Africa in general as an investment destination. So
to be fair, just give us your analysis of what's been happening with other emerging market currencies. Has the Rand been trading differently or trending differently to how they're behaving? I just want to get a sense of, can we attribute the Rand strength to what's happened at the ANC leadership?
Oh, you definitely can. So, so often it's the case that either the dollar side of that pair has moved, if you're talking specifically about the Rand dollar levels, but it's really across the board. So if you look at, first, if you have a look at the developed market currencies, we're stronger against the pound, the euro. The one currency we're not stronger against is the franc, but the franc has been on a tear all on its own. It's strengthening against just about everything. Then if you go to the emerging market currencies, you can see that we're stronger against the likes of the Brazilian real, against the Mexican peso. We've also firmed up. Indian rupees, we're also firming. So previously you would have paid 1.15 for at least 1.12 for a Mexican peso. It's now 1.15. Same with an Indian rupee. You would have exchanged 1 Rand for 4.68 rupees. You now can get 4.8 rupees. So definitely strengthening across the board against just about everything. So it's quite easy to pinpoint that this is coming from obviously the political developments today.
Now, had things swung in the favor of Zweli Mkhize, how do you think the market will have reacted? And if it would have been markedly different, what would the reason be?
Well, it's always difficult to say what would have happened in financial markets. Now, you obviously had the finance minister on earlier commenting that this has created some policy certainty. He was quoted as saying just before the announcement as well that no matter what the leadership change was within the ANC, this wouldn't result in a policy shock. And I think to an extent I do agree with him. There is a certain risk premium that is built into South African politics. South African politics is very noisy. It often seems very chaotic, and because of that, so much of that is already in the price of our markets. Now, when you do get big announcements like this, you will see the likes of the currency market moving. You will see some market impact, but a lot of our financial markets have, to a degree, become almost desensitized to big political statements. So I think there would definitely have been an impact. There's no question about that. You probably would have seen the currency going the other way if more radical factions of the ANC had taken power. I think Cyril Ramaphosa is definitely seen as a market-friendly candidate. So that's why we're seeing obviously the positive move, and it could have moved the other way. But would it have resulted in a rand moving up beyond 20 to the US dollar? I don't think so. I think there is that kind of desensitization that financial markets have, and there's that built-in risk premium that we'd love to see removed from financial markets in South Africa, but at the moment definitely still exists.
So from a local equity markets point of view, is it then business as usual?
I think from here on in, absolutely. So, like I said, we're getting a little bit of a boost in the banking stocks today, a couple of percent up, but no massive movements. And you can still see, the typical news flow that comes out around equities is what is pushing markets. So you've got the likes of Zeda, the new listing that we had last Tuesday. That's up around 5%, and that's just the volatility of a new listing as the market tries to price it. We've still got Steinhoff crashing, so Steinhoff down 25% after the announcement that they were seeking agreement with the bondholders and that equity shareholders were going to be penalized to an extent and only potentially had around a 20% claim on the underlying assets that Steinhoff still holds. We've got Woolies out with an announcement that they will probably be selling David Jones to Anchorage Capital Partners, a private equity firm in Australia. That's also impacting that share price. I mean, maybe catching a little bit of a bid thanks to optimism around maybe the retail sector in South Africa. But of course, it's got a big Australian component. But I think investors liking that deal. So that up 1.5% today as well. So definitely, we're still looking at news flow. We're still looking at the individual drivers that push stocks around. And it is, as you say, back to business as usual.
Yeah. So as you tell us that the market is more comfortable with the devil that it knows, so to speak, and I'm really referring to the president here, we know that the country is in a big mess. Economically, we're just not gaining any traction in terms of economic growth. We've got the energy crisis that is actually helping to contract any economic growth that we can get. Lots of socio-economic issues, fiscal constraints, and so on and so forth. It's not a pretty picture. And of course, he has to be at the helm to deal with these issues and perhaps be more effective in dealing with them. What is it that you think needs to happen for there to be more business confidence, not just market confidence, but business confidence?
Well, it's a huge question, and I suppose so many people have answered it in so many ways, and so many of the policies, from a market point of view and from a business point of view, we understand what would improve things financially, what would make us more attractive as an investment destination, but are obviously often very politically unachievable. So things like shrinking the size of government in South Africa and lowering taxes is a very business-friendly move, but politically would be very, very difficult to get through. Policies like loosening the South African labor law and trying to cut some of the red tape specifically around small and medium enterprise is that are essentially the backbone of the jobs market in South Africa. I mean, it would go a long way to improving the situation on the ground. But again, very politically untenable to say that we're loosening labor laws and not protecting jobs, even though almost the offshoot result would probably be more job creation. So, very difficult things. Of course, we've got Eskom hanging over us as well. You've mentioned the power crisis that we're currently facing. Without a resolution to the energy crisis in South Africa, it's very difficult where we're going to see enough growth to support the jobs that we so desperately need to create. So I think Eskom's got to be foremost on the president's mind. But hopefully, with the second term now in and with the vote of confidence that he's now seen at this latest meeting, we will see some of the some more drastic structural reforms, which I think are absolutely key to getting SA back on track.
Yeah, Gary, thank you so much. Have a great festive season. Gary Boyson, he's a portfolio manager at Rand Swiss.